Respect it. The moment you stop chasing someone who keeps running from your love, something powerful begins to happen. Not just inside him, but inside you. Because the truth is, people don't value what constantly begs to be chosen. They value what stands still, knows its worth, and is willing to walk away rather than lose itself. And when a man suddenly feels your silence, your absence, your peace, that's when he finally realizes what your presence truly meant. There comes a moment in life when every woman gets tired, not tired of loving, but tired of proving that she deserves love in return. Tired of sending the first message. Tired of overthinking every silence. Tired of wondering if she's asking for too much when all she ever wanted was honesty, effort, and consistency. And a lot of women don't realize this. They think the harder they love, the harder a man will fight to keep them. But life doesn't always work like that. Sometimes the more you chase, the more a person relaxes, the more available you become, the less urgency they feel to show up for you. Not because you're not valuable, but because human beings often take for granted what they believe will never leave. See, a man can love your loyalty and still become lazy with your heart if he thinks you'll stay no matter what he does. That's a painful truth. And most women don't hear this until after they've exhausted themselves trying to save a connection alone. You wake up checking your phone, hoping he finally texted. You replay conversations in your mind trying to figure out where things changed. You tell yourself maybe he's busy. Maybe he's stressed. Maybe he just needs space. And while you're making excuses for his distance, you slowly abandon yourself. Your peace disappears. Your confidence weakens. Your smile starts depending on his attention. Now listen carefully, because this is where your power begins to return. The answer is not to chase harder. The answer is not to beg for clarity. The answer, AR, is not to convince someone to recognize your worth. The answer is to step back. Because when you stop chasing, you finally give the truth room to reveal itself. A man who truly values you will notice your absence. A man who truly cares will feel the shift. A man who is only enjoying your attention will become confused when the constant validation disappears. And suddenly, the energy changes. See, silence speaks louder than desperation ever will. I remember hearing about a woman who spent 3 years trying to hold onto a relationship that kept slipping through her fingers. Every argument ended with her apologizing, even when she wasn't wrong. Every time he pulled away, she chased him harder. She sent long, emotional paragraphs trying to explain her love. She kept trying to prove she was enough. But one day, something inside her broke, not in sadness, in clarity. She realized she had spent years fighting for someone who wasn't fighting for her. And instead of begging 1 month, read time, she became quiet, not angry, not bitter, just calm. She stopped checking his social media, stopped asking where she stood, stopped trying to force conversations that only she cared about. And for the first time in years, she focused on herself. She started going on morning walks again, started reconnecting with old friends, started reading books she had ignored, started laughing without waiting for someone else to give her permission to feel joy. And you know what happened? The man who barely noticed her efforts suddenly started noticing her absence. Because people often ignore the noise of constant availability, but they pay attention to silence. Now, let me tell you something important. This is not a game. This is not manipulation. This is self-respect. There's a difference. Playing games is pretending not to care when you do. Self-respect is refusing to lose yourself trying to keep someone else. And when a woman genuinely reconnects with herself, her energy changes. Ease. She no longer speaks from fear. She no longer clings from insecurity. She no longer feels the need to force love. that confidence becomes magnetic. You see, men are not moved only by beauty. They are moved by emotional presence, by peace, by mystery, by the feeling that a woman knows who she is with or without them. The problem is many women unknowingly teach people how to treat them. Every time you tolerate inconsistency, you teach someone inconsistency is acceptable. Every time you accept half effort, you teach someone you'll settle for crumbs. Every time you chase someone who keeps pulling away, you teach them they never have to earn your presence. But when you finally say, I deserve reciprocity, everything changes. Not overnight, but deeply, because now you stop operating from fear of loss. And fear is dangerous. Fear makes people overtext. Fear makes people over-explain. Fear makes people abandon boundaries. Fear makes people stay in situations that slowly destroy their spirit. But peace changes everything. A peaceful woman doesn't need to force attention. She doesn't need to beg for communication. She understands that real love flows naturally. Now, that doesn't mean relationships never require effort. They absolutely do. But effort must go both ways. One person cannot carry the emotional weight of an entire relationship forever. At some point, exhaustion replaces love. And I think a lot of people watching this know exactly what that feels like. You love deeply. You gave chances. You stayed patient. You tried understanding them from every angle. But somewhere along the way, you stopped understanding yourself. And that's the danger of chasing someone too long. You become so focused on keeping them that you forget to keep yourself. You forget your hobbies, forget your confidence, forget your standards, forget the version of you that existed before heartbreak made you desperate for reassurance. But here's what life teaches all of us eventually. What belongs in your life will not require you to destroy yourself to keep it there. Read that in your spirit. Healthy love does not leave you constantly anxious. Healthy love does not make you question your worth every night. Healthy love does not disappear every time things get difficult. And when you finally stop chasing, something incredible happens inside a man who truly cared about you. He begins to feel the emotional weight you were carrying all along. See, while you were constantly reaching out, he never had the opportunity to feel your absence. Your messages filled every silence before he could miss you. Your effort carried the relationship before he had to step up. But silence creates reflection. Suddenly he wonders why you stopped calling, why you seem calmer, why you're no longer reacting emotionally, why your energy feels distant but strong. And the thing that pulls him back is not your pain, it's your peace. Because peace is powerful. A woman who can walk away from confusion without begging becomes unforgettable. Not because she played games, but because she chose herself. That kind of energy forces people to reflect on what they lost. And here's another truth. Nobody talks about enough. Sometimes when you stop chasing, the person doesn't come back. But even then, you still win because your self-respect returned, your identity returned, your peace returned. And trust me, losing someone who couldn't fully love you is never the real loss. Losing yourself is. That's why healing matters. That's why stepping back matters. That's why silence matters. Not to punish somebody else, but to reconnect with yourself again. Because when a woman finally realizes she does not have to convince someone to love her correctly, she becomes unstoppable. She starts glowing differently, speaking differently, walking differently. Her energy no longer says, please choose me. It says, I choose myself too. And the irony of life is this. The moment you stop making someone the center of your world, they often start realizing how much space you filled in theirs. There's something deeply transformational about a woman who decides she will no longer beg for the bare minimum. not because she stopped loving, but because she finally started loving herself enough to stop accepting emotional confusion as a form of affection. And let me tell you something most people learn too late. Attention is not love. Words are not commitment. And potential is not reality. A lot of women stay attached to who a man could become instead of accepting who he is right now. They hold on to memories, promises, future dreams, and rare moments of tenderness while ignoring a painful pattern of inconsistency. That's why chasing becomes addictive. You keep hoping the version of him you saw for 5 beautiful moments will finally become permanent. But relationships cannot survive on almost calling, almost committing, almost trying, almost. Still loving. Eventually your soul becomes exhausted from carrying hope alone. And this is where many women make the mistake that keeps them emotionally trapped for years. They think if they love harder, sacrifice